Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what is that? Oh, that's super cool.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cosmic Convergence. I'm joined with my co hosts, Christian and Daniel. He's over there. And our special guest, Sarah Vanlaecken, who I stumbled upon, also known as UFO Girly on TikTok and Instagram, also has a YouTube channel. We'll go ahead. We'll put the links to all of her social media in the description below. And I stumbled upon Sarah on TikTok, and she's got some amazing footage, which will be included in this episode, that just absolutely blows my mind, especially in this time frame into which we're having so many people, not just across America, but across the world, that are starting to
Mhm.
see objects in the sky that, well, military would like to say is drones, or debunkers would like to say skydivers with flares or satellites or those kind of things. But then we have Sarah, and Sarah, again, aka UFO Girly, but for this interview we'll just use her first name.
Sarah's fine.
Sarah's fine, thank you. um is seeing things in Iowa and has been having experiences for quite some time.
In
And
different
so,
states.
and different states. Thank you
Mhm.
for that correction. Thank you for that
Yeah.
correction. If there's any experiences that you wish to talk about, Sarah, that have happened in different states and you wish to give
Mhm.
those states names, please do so.
Yeah,
But just wanted to say thank you again for joining us, Sarah, and it's a pleasure to
absolutely.
have you here.
Thank you for the invite. I'm very happy about it.
Good, good. And we hope that you are comfortable, and we know, good, and we know that the viewing audience will definitely be able to take away something from this interview. And
Yes.
so I look forward to
That
it.
is my hope as well.
Good, good. Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself, professionally, personally, when everything seemed to start with the what we term as the
Yes.
phenomenon.
Yeah. So my name is Sarah, aka UFO Girly. I am originally born and raised in Santa Rosa, California. This is where it all started. Um, I was a very sensitive child growing up, and I knew things about people before they would even, say anything. No one had to ask. I just knew if they were bad, mad, sad, anything happy, of course we could all tell that, but the insides I could tell, you know. Um, so I was always really fascinated with the stars and the planets and everything. And I grew up knowing, just like you, John, I knew that there was more to this life. There was more out there, that these beings existed, that ETs existed. And I was terrified. I, my dad, he uh, is also into paranormal and ETs and all that. And I knew who all of them were, ghosts, spirits. Ever since I came out of the womb, I knew all about ETs and everything, Bigfoot, even. So I was very, uh, grew up, knowing these things. But anyway, I was very terrified. And as a child, especially of extraterrestrials and in this negative spirit that was in my house, but well, that's for another time. But anyway, I would always sleep with my parents or my siblings, so I was never able to sleep by myself. But one night, when my sister was actually staying the night, we shared a room, and this is in California. We had a big, either two windows or one big one. I can't quite remember, but I remember the experience very well. So she was at a friend's house. I was so upset because I had to go to sleep, by myself. I usually did go to sleep by myself and ended up in someone's bed. So I walked into my bedroom, and out the left my left eye, I saw this humongous craft. And I know I said, I think on a TikTok, I said it was a blue light, but this was not a blue light. It was like orange, green, yellow, and I was just like on this huge metallic craft. The standard metallic, oval craft, and I was just in awe, very bewildered by it. But what it did for me is, instead of having this fear still, I was actually fascinated by it. They were sending me peace and love, telling me, everything's fine, it's okay, we're not here to harm. Um, so I was just seeing this thing just go over the neighbor's house, and it was just, and I don't know if I was taken that night or not. I don't remember ever being taken as a child. I just remember being very fearful. Anyway, I told my parents all of this in the morning. I told them, I was like, "Oh, I've seen a UFO and all this stuff," and they didn't believe me. They thought I was just being a kid, or maybe I had a dream or something. So I buried it. Like most experiencers do, they just bury that, whatever happened, if they're not believed, and you move on with your life until something else happens. So fast forward to 2014. I'm really in a bad way. Like, I got into drugs and alcohol and toxic, traumatic relationships, all that stuff. And I had a spiritual awakening at the end of 2014, brought on by a traumatic event in my life. Then I was opened up to all these, this magical world, you know, um, this 5D life. I was, I started seeing spirits. I started communicating with angels and my guides, and doing multiple readings and Reiki healing and all that other stuff. Um, in 2020 is where they came back, you know. Um, and I think that's, like a lot of people, 2020 was a very big year for that. And during this time, I was in a very dark place, with my spiritual awakening. It had been 6 years, but I was very lonely, because you are isolated by the universe. You are isolated for a purpose, and of course, I don't realize what that purpose was until later. But in 2020, they came back, and during this time before they came back, I was getting really obsessed again with extraterrestrials, like learning about different species, learning about different races, whatever you want to call them, and you know, fixated on abductee stories, and I was just like, I know there's a reason for all of this. I know there is. And one night I was, just on YouTube and whatever, and then I hear this message: keep your eyes on the sky.
Wow. That is just incredible.
And I was like, I already do anyway because I'm fascinated by stars, but I will pay more attention, basically. So I kind of put that in the back of my head. In about a week or maybe a few days or a week went by, and I'm outside with my dog, and my daughter is actually with me, and we go out on the hill. And at the time, I was living in Illinois. Um, and we go out behind our apartments, and there's this hill. We go up on the hill, and I see movement from my right hand side of my eye and in the sky, and here comes this humongous cloaked mothership. It didn't look like the oval one. It looked like a galactic federation Tigetan ship, this humongous ship, but it was cloaked. You could see through the middle of it. And thankfully, my daughter was out there, and they said, because I mean, I believe it now, obviously, but I was just like, whoa, um, this is crazy. And I said, do you see that? And she's watching it. I'm watching it. And I was just so fascinated. But it ended up fading out. So yeah, that happened, and then, about, 2 to 3 weeks later, I'm taking my dog out again, and, I'm at the bottom of the stairs of my apartment. I'm going outside, and then right there in front of me, well, it was kinda to the left at the time, but there are 5 ships. And they're also kind of cloaked, but they look like plasma, but they were huge. They were huge, and you can tell that they were the oval shaped, um, you know, uh, craft, and there were 5 of them, and they were slowly gliding, just slowly gliding, perfectly spaced apart. Um, and I was just like, I yelled for my daughter. I said, get down here. And she actually had her phone, and I didn't have mine at the time. She had hers, and her phone froze. Like she was not able to take a video. And I'm sure it just wasn't the time for it, for the video. But so they made it like that. Her phone froze, but it was able to take a picture, and that's it. But she was kind of freaking out, so maybe, I don't know what happened with that, but I'm sure they had something to do with it. But the picture just looked like a really bright orb, and it didn't look like what we saw at home.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, that night, and this is a very significant part in my story, in what leads up to everything. So that night, I go to sleep after seeing those 5 ships, and I wake up the next morning. And at this time, I'm doing a lot of readings. I'm working at a shop as well, doing readings. And I woke up and I had readings that day, and I woke up, and I knew right away there was information that got downloaded into me. And I was a wreck because they told me that I was their family.
Mhm.
And it was so I was like in a grieving mode. This is actually the first time I got through it without, now I'm gonna be tearing up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, we understand. I personally understand the feeling of being essentially, and some people are going to take my words possibly and trash it, but touched by an entity.
Yes.
People that have watched this podcast, they watch it religiously, they know what I refer to as the hug, and it's life-changing, it's soul altering in the best of
Oh
ways.
my
It is
god.
beautiful, it is love beyond the definition of love, and
Yes.
so you go right ahead. I'm right
That
with you, sister. I
part
know what it
is
feels
also
like.
really important
No,
to cry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. This
Just come back and
yes,
even that, I feel it all the time when I'm out there with
yes,
them. Just
yes.
so much absolute love. Um, but anyway, they told me through thought and feeling, and that's how mainly I communicate with them, through thought and feeling. And my also my guides and my angels. Those are my main abilities. So uh they were telling me this, and I was an absolute wreck. I was confused. I said, how does this even happen? You know, um, and I was just highly confused. I went through a grieving process because what it felt like was um, getting to see like a long lost family member and then it being ripped away from you.
Separation.
Yes. So it was completely like I was going through just a hard time with losing them because that love and that familiarity was just so intense that knowing that I was with them and they didn't tell me where I was from yet, that'll be later. In another experience, that they told me I'm actually from the star Vega and that I am Lyran. So mixed with Pleiades, and I think there's a lot of just mixtures.
Mhm.
But during this time after, I was having lots of dreams of being on a craft, um, uh, hearing beings in my head. Um, the state between I'm a sleep technologist, but the state between wake and stage one, that stage where I was able to I was awake but not asleep, hear 2 beings speaking to me, and I could tell I was asking them questions, and they were giving me the answers. And they did not allow me to remember any of this information, but it's stored in my subconscious
It
for
happened to me.
use for this time period that I'm in now. So, I know it was a lot about humanity as well and where we're going as a collective, which, believe it or not, is in a good direction. Believe it or not,
Good.
I know it may not seem that way, but eventually it'll all pan out. Yes. Um, but yeah, I started having these dreams of being on a craft. In my first experience with the dream, I was terrified. I remember being on in the middle of this craft. I mean, there's sources of I mean, there's no source of light. Sorry, I meant to say no source of light, but there's light. Do you know what I mean? You guys may know what I mean. It's just
Definitely.
lit up. And I'm freaking out. I'm looking around. I don't see anybody, and then here comes this human. Here, she's got brown hair, and I actually know who she is because she is actually on Earth in the hybridization program. I'm
Mhm.
not going to say her name because she doesn't know, anything about this, I don't think. But I, she came up to me and she was consoling me, saying, "Remember, you have been here before. You've been here before. Everything's okay." She was like hugging me, even though I didn't really have a body. It was just mainly my consciousness, and that's how they take me is my consciousness, not my physical body. But so I calmed down, and I eventually was able to turn turn those dreams into me just walking around with these beings down corridors and um, just being happy and proud of myself for I'm it's actually me looking down like a bird's eye view
Yes.
of me walking down the corridor with other beings, and we're actually going to meetings.
Hmm.
So um I'm just gonna drop this right here. I am an ambassador for the Galactic Federation of Light.
Okay.
I was invited in about 2023. They invited me. So
Cool. Wow.
through state, yes. So
Hmm.
anyway, I've had many experiences. A gray ET in my room that paralyzed me. I was completely paralyzed and my body was really freaking out and I was trying to kick and everything and kick out of it. And I'm telling myself, I'm looking at myself because my body is up here, or my consciousness is up here. My body is still laying in the bed. And I'm looking at this, 3.5 foot, 4 foot gray ET, but here's the thing, he was, like, transparent. I can still see that I was, in my room because I can see the bathroom through him, but he also had this, like, static, static
Mhm.
behind him, and he was kinda transparent, and all I couldn't see his legs. I could only see, like, the top portion, so he was just staring at me and he had absolutely no emotion whatsoever. No emotion. It was and I'm an empath, so I can feel basically everything, we're very sensitive or I'm very sensitive, empaths are sensitive. And I was trying to read what he was thinking or anything, and there was absolutely nothing, no emotion, nothing. He just stared at me. And I actually lost time during that time. I this it only seemed to like be 15-20 seconds where I was paralyzed. That's and I woke up and I told my daughter, I said, "How long was I asleep?" You know? And she goes, "About an hour." And I thought I just closed my eyes, and this thing only lasted 20 seconds. And, so I'm missing time there, but I don't recall anything, about being on a craft, and a lot of times they don't allow me to remember stuff because I am sensitive, and it will bother me very much. Um
You I'm sorry to interject, Sarah. When you're talking about the gray entity, okay,
Mhm,
gray being, I know that there's a lot of discussion within the community about whether or not they are like actually living creatures or whether they're more kind of like android or robotic. What was your sense as you were as you noticed that there was no expression or anything like that on the being? Did you have a sense at all on whether or not it was like biological or strictly mechanical or mixture? Just curious.
I feel like it wasn't there was nothing in there. I because I mean, you can get something off of someone's consciousness. You could always tap into something. There was nothing. So it was either he was blocking me
Mhm.
or he was just a worker bee, something without a soul, something with, I mean, there was absolutely nothing. And he just stood there. He just stood there. Um,
Mhm.
so my take on that would be he was just some kind of worker bee without, I mean, following instructions basically. And I don't know what those instructions were.
Right. Well, that's
Maybe,
been reported before, so I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Maybe some kind of
Uh,
activation or something. I'm not
mhm,
sure.
mhm,
I'm not
interesting.
sure.
Well, I wanted to just say, like, again, thank you, Sarah, for sharing your personal experiences, including I, we all understand that when you're recounting the experience, it wells up back.
Yeah.
Like it's right there, so you get very
Mhm.
emotional. I just wanted to say, just share a little bit that I've had similar experiences as well. It was like 4 months back. I actually had a essentially to what she is the she's a mother figure, but she's like
Mhm.
the one that helped make me like on that side.
Yes.
And she came in the room. She was actually an orb. I saw her when she left, but I remember feeling her like in my very essence, and I was just like,
Yes.
"Please don't make me forget. Please don't make me forget. I don't want to forget you." Like, and
Mhm.
I was like crying and everything else, and it was like very emotional, very uh,
Yes.
impactful.
I love
Sense of family is so strong. Uh,
yes.
yeah,
And I was actually saying too, do not let me forget this.
yeah.
Like, at one of the when they were communicating me or to me through my telepathically, where I can actually physically hear the words. But it's all mumbo jumbo now because I can't remember any of it.
Sure. Well, it's like
Um,
the time I went outside and, so I went outside, it was after the hug, which I know I haven't gone into detail with you about, but I was doing a channeling a session with the rods in the spirit box, and the rods just pointed to my left and they towards the carport and they didn't move. They would not move back. And so I looked at Melissa and I was like, okay, well, they want me outside.
yeah.
And then of course the rods were straight. So I walked outside into the carport and I'm looking up, and it's not stormy or anything. And I see this flash of light in the sky,
Oh yeah.
not directly overhead, but towards the left. And I
Mhm.
was like standing there kind of transfixed. And the next thing you know, and this is what's interesting when you said that there was like this electricity around this
Mhm.
entity, right? And it kind of struck me because the corner of my eye is where I tend to see anything. It's always at the corner of the eye, right?
Yes.
And that's typical with experiencers and abductees and such. And I noticed this figure. I'm 6'3", so it's about my shoulder. That's standing to my left, and I'm looking, and I just see this kind of like this shadowy figure, but it's got this luminescence outline around it, kind of like the
Oh,
underwater octopi, right? That have the
yes.
light that go around. And just as I'm ready to, and I feel it there, because I had asked if I earlier that night, I asked if I would ever see them, if I would ever meet them, and they had told me no, which led to the hug, but then they were like, "Go outside." So I went outside and I they was standing there next to me, and I can't really tell whether it was like trying to hold my hand or anything. I guess it doesn't matter, but it's mere presence being next to me. And then as I started to turn my head to my left, Melissa came from my right, and then the visage was gone,
Yes.
and I said, "Did you try to approach me on my left?" And she says, "No, I came from your right the entire time." I was like, "Okay, so that wasn't just me sensing you." And
That's
then you
amazing.
and then deer started walking across the street and everything was silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everything was quiet. And it was like I always said, it's kind of like the snow globe effect is what we call
Yes,
it here, to where time stands still. There
it
is no time.
it
And
does.
yeah, and so when you're going on about, and I don't mean that in a bad way. When you're describing,
Mhm,
we'll put it that way. I'm sorry. When you're describing your experiences of, the love and
mhm.
the separation that you had to go through, which kept the sorrow and everything else. I take that, and I want to see if you can agree with me on this. I do have a question with this. Okay,
Yes.
is that we are, and this is something I came across to with the Law of One series by L&L Research, which really kind of expanded my mind about consciousness and the entirety of the universe. Is we are all one. Okay?
Yes.
I am Christian as much as you are Daniel, and these
Absolutely.
yes, and these entities that are out there in the universe, they are me too. So
Yes,
when
they
I try to
are.
make contact, right? When I try to make contact, I say, I greet you with love. I am you, you are me, we are one,
Yes.
and all love and
And
acceptance.
yeah, that's what when you open your heart that way, when you open your heart and you're vulnerable and everything like that, they that's how they can come in. that's how you're going to see them. That's how you're going to interact with any kind of being of the positive light, in love, is with your heart, you know. And you can't go out there and be demanding and mean and nasty and expect to see, these amazing beings. It is all accessed through your heart chakra, and they have taught me that time and time again. They're just so much love, and the love even feels angelic. So I understand why people would call them angels as well, because it's the same thing I feel off angels when they're in my presence. Is this so much amazing unconditional love? And it just upsets me when people, say that. And I know there's different ones. There's you know
Demonize them.
negative beings and everything like that. I don't deal with negative beings, but I will get messages sometimes saying I'm working with the devil, and it's they're demons and they're fallen angels and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. And I'm just like, no, I don't try to really argue back with them anymore. I just say, block.
Yeah, I need to
Yeah.
condition myself in that. I need to condition myself in that. I really like try to torch these people sometimes. Other times I'm like, eh.
Oh, it is hard, especially when someone calls like one of my videos a satellite or something like that. And I'm like, are you okay? Not just watch it? Yes.
And it's just like some of the excuses that I see by doubters, skeptics,
Oh,
debunkers
yeah.
are getting to the point, especially with what's going on in the world today, as far as what people are seeing in the skies and people reporting in their houses now and stuff like that, is the explanations are almost more ludicrous than it just being aliens. I mean,
Yeah,
really, like some of these
absolutely.
prosaic explanations, and you're just like, "You're gotta be kidding me. A water heater rocket that someone put together with their water heater is going all across the state of Wisconsin. That's
Yeah.
not really possible," you know? Or, "Blimps don't do that, make
No.
90-degree turns," you know?
Right. It's
And so
crazy.
some it is crazy, and so some of the footage that we featured just now definitely shows that these are not your typical average, um,
Yes.
satellites or miners with jetpacks or, water heater rockets or kites
Mhm.
with LED kites or any of those kind of things. These are anomalous phenomenon. And there is, as Jake Barber talked about, I'm not sure if you saw that or not, the Ross Coulthart interview with Jake Barber where he's discussing the egg UAP, but he's talking
I
about
saw the little clips.
yes,
I saw the little clips. Yes, some
but
of
where
it.
he's talking,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but where he's talking about having communication with NHI, with aliens, with non-human intelligence on a psionic or a psychic or a mental consciousness level. And I know for a lot of people, that's hard to understand. There's a lot of people that believe in the phenomena, but only believe in the nuts and bolts. And then they want to tie that in with science.
Oh,
But
they
then
do.
we have people like yourself to where there's actually contact being made on a telepathic
Yes, yes,
soul level, right? I mean, you have experience with that.
yes, yes.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Ooh, this one's bright too. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Huge power up. Thank you so much. That was amazing. That was so amazing. Oh, wow. Look. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Oh, look, there's another one. Oh my goodness. Look, guys. There's another triangle formation. Wow. This one's a big one. That's crazy. Still going.
There was just a lot of validating things you were sharing, and especially from my own research and personal experience. And back in 23, I had an experience. It was a first physical feeling, not dream state feeling experience I had, where I was lifting up off of the bed, and it
Mhm.
started off in dream state, but then I woke up because I was like, "Whoa, what's
Yeah.
going on?" And then um, at first I was scared, like super terrified, because it's like this weird thing is happening. And then I remembered at that point, like, you don't have anything to be afraid of. After
Yeah.
everything you've learned, you know that they're
Mhm.
fine. So then I was like, okay, it's okay. You can take me. It's fine. I'm not afraid. And then that's when the pleasurable sensations came, where it's like this immense love and peace feeling. And it just felt like it just washed over me, and then I felt myself like slowly put back. What happened? I have no idea. I don't remember being on a craft or anything like that. Same like you, where I would have these interactions in dream state where they're telling me information, and I can only remember like the first piece of it, and the rest is like I know
Yeah.
it's there, but
Mhm.
it's just gone. Like I can't. I want to get hypnotized to remember, but then it's cool to hear people sharing these things, because everyone's sharing the same things. And even like John was mentioning,
Yeah.
like Jacob Barber, in that interview, he talks about, the first mission where they went to pick up this egg craft. And on the way there, he started to feel like very emotional all of a sudden. And
Mhm.
this is like a professional pilot, like
Yeah.
he's on the mission, do that. Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, he starts feeling a female presence, and he to the
Wow.
That
point
gave
where
me the
yeah,
chills just now.
yeah,
I got
yeah,
full body chills when you said that.
yeah, yeah,
He
and
he
the
started
love,
breaking well, he started crying during the interview. Because
Oh
he
my
did the
goodness.
same thing where
yeah,
he's like, "I feel it right now," and
yeah, he starts crying, and
I'm
yeah,
bringing
so it's very validating, and he's like, that presence is still with me today, and it's why I'm doing
Yes,
this and all that.
yes.
And more people are going to come out talking about that stuff, but I think there's that. And as for the debunkers or the people who are like, oh, those are demons and stuff, people fear what they don't understand.
They
And what they
do.
don't understand, without any introspection or going in to investigate, they're never going to understand it. They're always going to be afraid of it, calling it whatever. So,
And yeah, and I feel like we need that healthy amount of skepticism. So a few skeptic people I think are okay. I mean,
yeah,
not if they're mean, because generally they're not mean to me. Um, thank goodness. But eh, maybe they're nice about it in a way, but it still upsets me because I know that this is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to take in consideration, though, that they maybe have not had their own experience.
Right.
Mhm.
So, I also take that into consideration as well, that they probably have never had an experience before.
Whatever
So,
makes what makes me feel better about it is I always say that, on this journey of everything, because I used to be more judgmental when I was younger and like
mhm,
teenager and all that stuff. But I always say now that everyone's at their own level of awareness.
yeah,
We're eternal beings. We have forever to figure it out. So it's no
we do.
problem if
We
there's a
do.
group of people that don't understand it.
Get it next one, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not a big deal.
Mm,
And for the people it does resonate with, they will hear the message and
yes,
they'll see and follow and stuff.
absolutely.
I look at it this way too, Sarah. See if you agree with me. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, I try to call somebody, or I'm trying to talk to somebody. Let's say over the phone. I'm trying to initiate contact, and they look at it. Well, I don't recognize that phone number, right? So they never answer it. I mean, I do it with my phone all the time, right?
Mhm.
After a while, I'm going to stop trying to contact that person because they don't answer the call,
Yes. And I like that. You have a lot of good analogies.
right? Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
53 years, I guess I'll do that. But, so we take notice. We go, "Oh, what's that small little breadcrumb?" And it's not that we're following some crazy, pins in the wall with tied up with yarn pointing out to all this QAnon kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But it's more like we take notice of the strange and unusual or whatever have you, and then the other side says, "Hey, look, John, look, Sarah, they took notice." So now there's an option to further that communication, to
Mhm.
create that bond. It's a two-way street, right? It is
It
they
very much
depend
is.
on yes, they depend on our conversation with them as much as we with them, correct? And
Yes.
so I know in some of your footage, one that I watched, which I'll show now, has it to where you say that you wake up, you're like, "Something told me," or I said, "Wake
Yes.
me up if you are
So,
outside."
yeah, that particular video, it was very cloudy here and I was really missing them because I wasn't able to shoot or anything. And I saw that there was going to be a break in the clouds around, 5, 6 a.m. So I said, make sure you wake me up so I can go out there and get this footage. And I went to sleep, and I didn't go to sleep until like 2:30 a.m. because I'm a third shifter. And anyway, I went to sleep, and I woke up to something physically shaking my legs. And I wake up, and I'm like, "Oh, it's them." I looked at the time and I said, "Okay, I'll get up." I stayed in bed for a little bit more and my dog came in. She was out on the couch. She came in and I was like, "Yes, all right. I'm getting up. We're going." And yeah, and then I was able to get some amazing footage. Um then a few things came. Shh, my dog, sorry. A few things came that night. So
Your
it was
dog's just like, "Yep, I remember that night." Your dog's like, "I was out there." "You tell him, mom."
we were filming last night and she gets if we're out there too long, she gets she's tired. Because I woke her up early this morning and we were out a while filming. So she was in the car last night. She was not liking it. Because there was multiple orbs, and I don't know if you saw that recent video where there's just multiple orbs over a tree line that's we have a spot that I go to in a specific time frames that are scheduled. um, I'm in this my regular spot and I knew all day something big was going to happen that they were telling me we're going to show you something huge. So I go to my normal spot. I'm out there for a little bit, don't see much. I mean, I'm seeing things. It's just a standard orb and stuff like that, orbs and stuff. And I'm like, well, where's the good stuff, you know? It's all good, but I knew there was more. And all of a sudden I see, I mean, multiple, and they continue to keep coming from this tree line. There's even one that's if you they can you guys can watch my videos that are on TikTok or Instagram or something like that. But um, there was even one came into a tree and it was in the tree. And then there was two flashing orbs, a green and a red one, just perfectly aligned, just sitting there flashing stationary, like, and it was an amazing, amazing night. It lasted for about an hour. And then the same thing happened last night. So
And I
no,
encourage people
yeah.
to go to your
Mhm.
TikTok and your Instagram and your YouTube to watch
Oh,
more
yeah.
footage, and
'Cause I
especially
got
this one.
I keep getting parades. I call them parades of ships. I keep getting their fleets. This morning or yesterday morning, I went out. I was up at 4 a.m., so I just went ahead and went out around 5:30 ish. And sure enough, they gave me a huge parade that lasted 10 minutes long, including a triangle formation. So look that one up. People, I just posted it this morning. So um, yeah, look that one up. It is amazing. They tell me that the footage is just going to keep getting better. So, and I'm
Well,
excited for it because it's very exciting.
then people need to stay tuned, and I know I will. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
for
one
sure.
quick question, Sarah, and
Mhm.
I was watching some of your footage before we did the interview, and I was like, "Oh my god, like this is amazing."
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, and love the interaction you have with them. Have they shown you? So I know their orbs well, we see a lot of like
Yeah.
orbs are tend to be the most common. Have
Mhm.
you noticed, you said fleets, have you noticed them actually being different, shapes of craft and others besides an orb, or have you seen them turn from into a craft, or what's been the variety of it?
Not really. No. There are some that I can see have more of a oval shape, like the standard craft shape. Maybe other people don't notice it. I do notice the shape difference, but that's really the extent of that. Um, yeah, not yet anyway. So it's basically that same shape. But
Isn't it?
maybe now they will change. Maybe now they'll start changing. Because I notice when I say, "Okay, I want this," or in a nice, loving manner, not like I want," like a child, but when I ask nicely, and say, "Okay, maybe we should get a formation tonight, or maybe this or that," then they listen. They listen.
So
So
they're directly responding to
yes,
your
yes.
action, and
And when I saw, yeah, my very first triangle formation, and maybe I don't know if you showed that if you have that video or not, but if not, it's on my TikTok and Instagrams and stuff, YouTube. But it's a triangle formation, and I had asked, everybody else. I said everybody else is seeing these. I want to see a triangle formation, and they showed me that night, the next night, a week later, and then now I get them all the time. So they're just awesome.
No, I'm definitely sharing, or have shared several of your video clips of triangle formations, and
Yeah.
not just like that, equilateral equilateral distances, but
These are
like
huge.
the center one moving differently
Oh,
as
oh
ones
yes,
in
yes.
opposing. So yeah, no, I have some of that footage, and I've showed it
Oh
here, and
good.
it's just fantastic. And again, isn't it funny now? Because I've seen other people mention it. I know that you don't mean it bad, but it's like, oh yeah, the typical orbs, and
Oh,
I've heard people
oh,
like, oh yeah, the
I
typical
know.
orbs.
I don't mean it bad. I don't mean it
No,
bad.
no, no.
you're just so like if you've been doing this for a while, you want something other than the orbs. I mean, it's so amazing to see them. Anything they give me, I'm beyond grateful for. But I know that when I go out there, it's going to be, I know that I want something big.
Sure.
I'm the orbs are amazing, and yeah, I don't want to discount anyone
No,
who's seen
no, I know you're not.
orbs
I know you're not.
or anything, but yeah, those are amazing too. But
Yeah.
guess what's even more amazing?
Right.
Transportations.
And things we
There
can't even
is
imagine.
discount,
Yeah.
actual, formations. It's absolutely amazing. I have stuff I haven't even posted. There's just too much footage. Not too much. I don't want to even put that out there in the universe.
Right.
There's never too much.
Yeah.
Never too much.
I
And
have a
little
question.
footage I still haven't even put out.
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Look
I had
forward
a
to seeing.
question for you. I
Mhm.
just wanted to say that I feel like I already know what the answer is going to be, but have you felt like in the past couple of years this kind of like acceleration of some kind where things are starting to ramp up? Because I
Oh,
noticed it's happening
I
in
think all of us can really feel that. We're really going into a time period where we need to really wake up as a collective. We need to wake up. They're here to help us wake up and help us through these really trying times, through this awakening process, because all of these things that are happening around us, the fires, the hurricanes, these massive destruction things, happening situations, um, there's all an agenda for that kind of stuff, taking place, in we choose to see it in a more negative light, and I totally get it, because there's deaths happening, family members, brothers, sisters, mothers, pets, animals, they're all dying. A lot of people are dying, and it's sad. But there's also, what this is doing, these massive events is waking us up. We have
Mhm.
to do better. We absolutely have to do better as humanity. We have to get out there. We have to open up our hearts. We have to open up our minds. Um, we have to be kind, kind, compassionate, to each other. We just have to do better.
Yeah, that's what our previous guest, Yossi Ronan, mentioned also, that he believes that these situations, wars, and all of this stuff that are happening, we don't like it, of course.
Yes.
However, it's also because we've also there's a large chunk of us that are very complacent, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
and not doing
Oh,
anything, and
absolutely.
it kind of like forces you into action to
Oh,
like
it
actually
does. It
make a
does.
different
It forces
decision. Yeah.
you to open your eyes and stop, thinking we're just sitting here floating in the middle of the universe. Um, it it's all there's all reasonings behind everything. There's reasonings behind everything.
Right.
And yes, a lot of them, I mean, they appear very negative, and negative dark forces are doing these things, but we can change it into that a positive, more positive perspective,
Right.
by what we're getting out of these events, and
I
that's really
agree.
what I mean by it.
Yeah. And I agree. And I ask that question often just because to show that, people who are into this and people
Mhm.
who have these experiences understand that. And as the message keeps being repeated over throughout the guests that we speak to, to show that we're not all making this up. You know what I mean? This is
No, this is
yeah,
all real. It is all real. 100% real. 200% real.
yeah.
It's so real.
Thank you.
So real. Yeah.
Just wanted to kind of ask. So, when you've had your interactions, you said you've been on craft where
Mhm.
you're in this out of body state, which we've heard from many experiencers on our show. I know I've had personally two dreams of being an orb floating outside a craft or other doing other stuff. Um, do you do you feel like that their interactions with you is strictly when you're kind of seeing them in the sky and in your waking state, or do you feel like there's other things going on in the background that you're not fully aware of? But
There's definitely it's all of it. It's all of it. So, it used to be just in my dream state.
mm,
That's because I was afraid.
right,
So I had to get over that fear. I had to really, and I did eventually. As they kept coming, I was also working with a couple from Australia, um, and going on the ship with them, and some other time I'll talk about all that. But and so I was getting accustomed to being on the ship, being around these beings, and opening my heart more and my awareness more, to where I was just no longer afraid. So yeah, they communicate in multiple ways now, and I really haven't had a dream, and I want a dream. um, in a while, I would say. The last really physical experience I had was he was an Arcturian being, and I know that because of the way he looked. Um, it literally jumped in my window, and I'm a medical traveler, so I'm in different states every. It could be 3, 6, 9 months. So I'm in a lot of different states. So I was in South Dakota at the time, and this being, Arcturian being, came into my window, like jumped into my window. He was very happy. Sorry, my dog is whining. She
Okay.
needed better. Um, but yeah, jumped into my window and I hopped up and it just scared me. I said, okay, do that again. And I shut my eyes, and then all of a sudden this huge orb comes at me and hits me right in the third eye. And this is before I started filming. Um, and then there's a long story about how all that happened and how I started filming and all that stuff. So it's all connected. I experience them a lot of times through feeling. If I am down or something very hopeless feeling, like if I feel alone, or something like that, or let's say some life happens and I'm just down in the dumps, they will send me loving energy. Um, it's absolutely amazing. I know they're here. They'll come in and the room will just fill up with so much love, and I feel it in my bones. So they really have helped me through some trying times, because I think it's very important. Like, and I think a lot of star seeds, because that's how I classify myself, a star seed, light worker, that kind of thing. We go through this period of like, please take me away from this planet.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
It's too hard here. Please get me out of here. And they actually went away for a while, because of that. And then they came back in 2020. I Sorry, I'm really bad at dates and everything, but I always write it down. So they came back in 2023 after a year and a half. And that's when it just started getting crazy in
mm.
23.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of pin this. We were talking about, so you were talking about your background, and I kind of want to go into this because I've had to go through the same process being growing up religious. You talked about always being afraid of UFOs, always being afraid of ETs, like that feeling, because I'm right there with you. I totally understand that, having to go through that process. And I wanted to kind of get your what you had to do to get through that fear, through that paradigm shift, because I know with
Yeah, it
talking
was.
with a lot of
Mhm.
people at work or other places is that they're like, I'm open to it, but I'm so scared of what could happen, and they're really unsure about that. I just wanted to kind of hear what you've had to go through, so
Mhm.
maybe give some
What
people.
my experiences was, what calmed me was them. was their energy directed at me. So it may be different for other people, but I want to say that they are absolutely loving beings, and they mean no harm. They want to help us, but um it was that I was afraid until I saw it with my own eyes. And they gave me that feeling of peace. And right then, it was like I wasn't even afraid after that until I started going on the ships. Now that's something different. That's a whole different thing. And when I was on the ship, it took me a little bit to get accustomed to even their energy. Their energy. Sometimes I'm outside, and I will say this in the best way possible. This last time, um, I was recording the multiple orbs, and there was many things happening at once. The energy was so intense it made me want to throw up. There was multiple orbs in the sky coming from the tree line. There was an orb in a tree. There's these flashing orbs over here, and there's ships flying, over me. And I'm hearing noises, and it was just really crazy. So what happened is my body they were very close to me, and I felt them very close to me all day. And what happened is my when they get close, your my body reacted like I it was fearful.
Mhm.
My Because of their energy and their frequency being so high, it puts your body into like a fight or flight,
Yeah.
when you're not used to their frequency. So I was like, it this feeling, I could not get rid of it, and I was saying, "Please help me," because right now my body I don't know if I was in shock because of what was occurring, what I was seeing with my own eyes, but, it was really just so intense. They were very near me, and I've had that happen before when I was in, Minnesota, and they were in the actual bush. It scared me so bad, and I hate saying that. I shouldn't say the HATE word, but I dislike, saying that, but it terrified me at first because it's different when you're in a dream, and then
Yeah.
when you see him in the physical, that's a whole 'nother thing, and they're trying it again with me because the last time when I was in Minnesota and they were in the little wooded area, um, and I knew they were there. I had a cheap pair of night vision goggles, and I panned over because I kept hearing them, and I felt them very close to me. I kept hearing them in this little patch of trees.
Hmm.
So I panned over, I saw a figure, and I immediately went in the house
Yeah.
because I was scared. I was terrified. Shh, 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 shh. They got scared too. I was terrified, and so I opened the door a little bit again, and I go back out, and I said, "No, I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now." So I go back in the house, shh, and yeah,
There are a
uh,
lot of reports of that with people saying the
so there's
same
yeah,
thing you said about their energy being very high. So there are some people even saying that they were debriefed, letting them know that when you encounter these beings physically, you can have different emotional states. Some people drop down on their knees and cry. Some
oh
people run screaming. Some people like will freak out or they can't handle it or whatever, and they have to leave the room. So all
yeah,
those things can happen.
yeah.
Um,
So they're trying again, and I know they're trying to. They do tell me that they are getting me prepared for physical contact. Which is exciting, but also, can you imagine looking at a being like in when you're actually awake? It's kind of scary at the same time, but they came close to me last night and showed me this little blue light,
Mhm.
that just flashed, and it was right next to me, like outside of my car, and it's not a bug or anything like that because it's cold here.
Yeah.
It's cold. It was probably only like, maybe 8 degrees or something.
Mhm.
Definitely not a bug or anything like that, and they've showed me that before.
Wow.
Mm, when
Wow.
they get close to me, they're really amping me up for physical contact, and they've told me that. So I, will be able to see them, soon.
Wow.
My
Yeah.
body adjusts, so
Yeah,
I
again,
know.
gotta give you time for adjustment.
Yeah,
I have to give you adjustment time, you know?
they do.
We could all say, like, I look at it this way, there was a time again in my carport, and that was just astounding. I do believe that that
Mhm.
wasn't actually them physically there, but a projection. That's what I felt. Um, I
Yes,
have had I have had the astral abduction attempt, and that was anybody wants to hear about that, you can just watch another one of the episodes that I talk about it. But I think that as far as, we could be like, man, I am just so full of love for these beings and I could feel their love. And it could be the most comfortable visage. Like as a guy, man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man's great. Someone who really likes Spider-Man. And so the entity's like, hey, you know what? Bill
yes.
likes Spider-Man. So I'm going to just show up in the house as
It's
Spider-Man. You turn around, Bill turns around and there's Spider-Man. He's like, hey, how you doing? And the guy's gonna be like, ah,
oh, yeah,
Spider-Man, right? He's gonna be
yeah,
scared because there's Spider-Man suddenly behind him. So
yeah.
they could have the best intentions in the world, and it's still a natural reaction, at least for our body, to be like fight or flight.
It is. It
And
is, and they have appeared to me as owls as well. So that I didn't know ever some other experiencers experienced that at the time, and, I mean, I knew it was them. I knew it. I felt so close, and this is a different experience than other than, the one in the bush, but, yeah, a huge, massive, massive wingspan, like, I don't know how many feet. It was a lot. It was a, very big, owl, and then it was present again in a different state.
uh,
So I knew right there it was them.
They're definitely here. They're definitely interacting with us in different ways that we don't
They
fully
are, and it's
understand or we're
going
not
to
ready for, and they show up in different ways for sure.
it's getting real. That's what I like to say. It is getting real, and this year is going to be a big year for it, continuing on. And, there's going to be multiple people having individual experiences this year, where they're being contacted or they're being contacted in dream state or in the physical. The ones who can take it, having one just appear. um, but
And,
yeah,
and, and really quick, like you're going into with they're prepping you.
yes.
Do you feel like do you do you feel like the way that they're interacting with us on a personal level of having these experiences is almost a way for them to acclimate us as kind of things are moving forward? Or
Oh,
what are your thoughts on that or feelings?
100%. Um, because we really have to get used to them for one being here, and for two, their energy. It's so high. It is so high. Like I said, my stomach. It really made me nauseated at first. So certain people, certain individuals will have different reactions to their energy. And for me, for some reason, that's just how it was for me. Um but so now, like, I was out there last night and it was a whole different. I said, "Okay, I'm fine now. You can come as close as you want and I'm okay." I had to go through that intense one, in order to, get over that
acclimate.
fear. Yeah, in order to get my body. I mean, I even had to take a nap and everything after that whole experience because it was so drained. Um, it was so drained. There was so much going on, that I can't even capture in the videos, I just can't even capture it all in the video. The emotion, and everything I was feeling at the time. Um, so it's
Yeah,
it's just truly amazing.
You had mentioned, that it was a long story as to how you started recording,
Mhm.
and so, if you don't mind, I'm kinda interested, like, what
Yeah.
led from
So,
the
like I said,
crazy
I'm a medical traveler. I'm a medical traveler, and I they were gone during this for a year and a half because I had to learn how to ground myself to I was getting really reliant on their visitations, the dreams for happiness. Wasn't really wanting to talk to many people, and I was pretty much isolating myself, and when you do that, you get depressed and all that. So I was like, "Oh, these are my friends," I had to really get onto this planet and do human things, if that makes sense.
it
So
does, it's a chore.
mm, so they left for a year and a half. In that year and a half, all I did was heal myself. I started opening up to people. I started about certain experiences, things of that nature, and I was really happy. And I did wonder, are they ever going to come back? You know, so I got an assignment up north in Minnesota. I was there for 3 months. And one of the nights, I'm just sitting in bed, and I always had the blinds open. I always had the blinds open to look outside at the stars. And I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm on the outside of this little town. It's negative 20 out. And I'm just sitting there, and I see all of a sudden a flash in the sky out the window. And I instantly knew, like, there was something before that night, but it wasn't major, that I thought, questioning, like, was that them? Was it not? But this night they did the flash, and that's in some of my videos. But I looked up, and I was like, I instantly knew that it's them. They're back, you know? And I said, if that's you, do it again. They flashed again, and then the third flash, the craft was behind it. I saw the physical, craft, and it just stayed there. It just kinda hovered there, and then it was gone. And I was on the phone to my daughter, and I was just like, "They're back, they're back, they're back," you know? So, a ton of experiences happen in Minnesota. Since then, every time I went outside, they were there, whether it was a streak in the sky, whether it was flashes, whether it was just an one just hovering, they were there wherever I went. So anyway, I started getting this, like, okay, maybe I should film them, maybe I shouldn't, but it was so sacred to me at the time that I just wanted to suck it all in. And I just really felt like it was wrong to film them at the time. I felt like, no, they don't want it, and it's very sacred to me.
Right.
And I just want to suck in all of it. I was being selfish at the time. So, anyway, lots of stuff happened during that time in Minnesota. And then I go to South Dakota, and they there had already warned me that I wouldn't see them as much in South Dakota.
Hmm.
Um, and they were right. I didn't see him as much, but guess what happened? Whenever I would see him, I had my phone with me, and I recorded one flash, and then I'm like thinking, okay, I want to start recording you more full time. I was talking to them, and I want to start recording. Will you allow me? I was asking permission to record them, and they didn't instantly say, "Oh, of course, yes." It's always through some other way. Symbols, signs. They didn't really tell me yes or no. So I was kind of scared, but they were allowing some things to come on the phone, and I was like, "Okay, well, maybe they want it." So toward the end of, I think that was 2023, toward the end of 2023, I had gotten moved to Missouri, and that's where I bought the 2024 is when I bought my first I mean, not infrared, but monocular. Um, it's a Psionics Aurora Pro, and they actually showed me Chris Bledsoe. I didn't know who he was,
Hmm.
and they showed me what kind of camera to get, and yeah, and ever since then, that was just a rundown of what happened. Ever since then, I knew I was going to be seeing big things because they told me this is part of your mission. I mean, this is your mission here on this planet is to get this information out here to, you know, open people's minds and,
Raise awareness.
yeah, raise awareness. And that's why they give me excellent footage. I don't also because I am an ambassador of the Galactic Federation. So
Sure, sure. Well, it's almost like really they were asking you were asking yourself, really, yeah, can I record you? Because that's what it sounds like. Sounds like they're like, well, yeah, you can record some of what we do when you're ready.
oh
You
no, I think you're right. I think you're right because I had to still grow too and get accustomed to that seeing them so much again and then all of that. And everything is always given to you in kind of breadcrumby way,
Yes.
like breadcrumbs. They don't give you the full on um,
No.
thing right in front of your face. You have to do growth. You have to grow with everything. So yeah, I started with just a few little videos on my phone, and that's what got me thinking. And then they showed me like Chris Bledsoe and his camera. They said, "Get this. This is what they said. Get this. This is what you're going to get."
And I was curious because I was watching those videos and I saw that the name of the files for each of those videos and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, it's psionics." So
Yes.
I like looked it up and I was like, "Oh, good God, that's that's like, I mean, John's gonna have to save up for that if that's what he wants because but they're really nice."
That was the cheaper version. Because I wanted the military grade. I wanted the military grade, and I was trying to save up for that, and those are like 4 grand.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh gosh, I was saying out loud to them, I need, something cheaper, but the good
Mhm.
quality. Even though Cyanix has some kind of issues, it's still good.
I could
You know,
the clarity is and the distance that you're recording is absolutely phenomenal. I was just like, "Wow, this is good
and
stuff."
it,
It also led me to look it up. Mhm.
and I think the color part makes a big difference because if
Oh,
it's just green military, you can't really see. I like being able to see the trees and stuff like
the
that.
color and the color changing of the objects that you're
Yeah,
seeing. Yes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and I do like that, you also again, just to touch back on, there is good in having some healthy skepticism because with
yes.
some of your footage, it's like, "Oh, wow, look at those." No, you say, "No, I think those are satellites," and,
You can say that.
so it's not yeah, you've said that on at least a couple of
Mhm.
them, and it's like, "Okay, well, so there you go, people," she's not, Sarah's not believing that everything is a UAP,
Yeah.
Well,
and,
and that's a
It's
myth.
You have to have some kind of skepticism.
discernment.
And some things I'm like, "Oh gosh, no, that's a plane."
Right,
And I
right.
stop recording, because sometimes you can, uh, it can appear almost the same, but not. You'll see it start flat, all you'll see the plane that it's a plane, but, from a far distance, you don't recognize it at first, but then it's a plane, and then I have to stop recording.
So, again, just kind of like going around in to the beginning when I started the
Mhm,
introduction, Sarah,
mhm.
is that we're going on with a lot of stuff still happening. I see people quoting all the or saying all the time, "What happened to the drones? Oh, we don't hear about drones anymore." And then you go on social media, it's like, "Oh no, that's new. That video's new. That video's new." People around New Jersey, around the world are still recording these things. And I know that from my perspective, it seems like some people are still catching up. And so there's going to be people that are kind of catching up to Sarah, right?
Yeah.
And seeing their stuff.
People that are not following me that need
Yeah.
to follow me.
Yeah, same for our podcast. Come on, people, where are you?
Yeah, come on.
But I look at it this way, okay? Here's my question. Um, let's say that there's somebody in New Jersey or somebody in Maine or wherever, South Africa, okay? And they, for the first time ever, see this unexplainable light that's in the sky, and they decide to, well, I don't know, open their mind for a moment and take into consideration that might, but yet might not be a
Lay down.
plane,
Lay down.
to do some investigation.
Yes. Mhm.
Since this has been with you, not just the sightings and the recordings, but throughout your entire life,
Mhm.
what piece of advice, Sarah, would you give that person?
That the one that is a skeptic
Just
or
experiencing it for their first time. They've never thought about this subject before. At the
well,
very most,
I would say welcome. Welcome to this realm. Welcome to 2025. You know,
right,
absolutely. I mean, they welcome them with full arms. You know, because I mean, we're all being loved, we're all being supported, we're all being guided, even though we don't know, right? And I would say not to fear, not to be so sorry. My dog is she's getting antsy. Not to be fearful, that they come in peace, you know, and just open your heart. Open your heart. If you want to see them more, communicate with them, talk to them, and interact with them any way you can, you know. And they will come back. If you are a loving being or human, um, first of all, they wouldn't have probably showed you anyway, you know, if you weren't supposed to see them. So it
Right.
is planned. The people who are supposed to see them will see them.
yes,
And there's going to be some that never see them,
yes,
you know, in this lifetime, because they don't play that particular role in the Earth's growth. But yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. If you want the interaction, go out there. Start going out there in the skies. Start communicating with them. You know, they love it. We in order to get to this next step, you know, well, I mean, the step where we all are seeing them in the skies and where we're all accepting um them as who they are, you know, and not some um you know, like they're different from us because they're really not. They are us. Um, Once we get to that point, that's when they'll show us physically, you know, and they'll be walking around just like we are, you know.
great, I
So
agree.
it's really this time that we're coming into, this cycle we're coming into. Every 25,000 years, the Earth goes through this consciousness mass awakening. So, I mean, back in the ancient times, they just didn't even have a doubt. There was no doubt that they even existed.
Mhm.
They were there, you know. It was just like the sky's blue. There was no question, you know, that they were here. So it's we're moving into that time period. I wouldn't say in the next 10 years. That's my take on it, and that's what I'm being told. So I do hear that a lot. That people do say, well, oh, they're gonna be walking the earth in the next 10. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, the thing
Not
about time and
if
predictions.
I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I mean, we are just not there yet as as humanity. We are not at that point yet where I mean, we're still trying to fire at them. Well, you see that even with the drones, there's people trying to shoot at the drones and everything.
Mhm.
We're not here there yet.
Yeah.
You know, people are still very much fearful. So going into 2025 and going further, mass people. lots of people are going to start having these individual experiences to let them know that we are here,
Good.
nothing to be
Right.
scared of, nothing to be fearful of. So yeah, it's not going to stop, and we just there's still a lot of doubt out there. So definitely cannot show up on on the president's lawn. It's not going to work. Military would be there. It would be crazy.
Yeah, it would be a mess. And you know what? Hey, as I said before, look, you don't have to take my word for it. If you don't want to believe in this stuff, fine. It's up to you. Although I have to ask, why are you watching this? If
Yeah.
you do believe in this, if you do believe in it, don't or no, not just believe it, no,
Yes.
then no one else has the right to tell you
Mhm.
that you're crazy, that you don't know what you're talking about,
Oh,
that
I
it's not
agree
real
with you.
because you
Mhm.
know, and that's the only validation you need.
It
You don't
is.
need the government.
It
Sarah,
is.
do you need the government to tell you that this is real?
And no, absolutely not. And the thing I have to say about that, John, is we are the disclosure. The
Yes.
people with the cameras, the whistleblowers, and we are it. The people, the citizens, humans that are not in the government. I don't even like saying that word, but
Sorry.
it'll come after me. But the we are the disclosure.
Mhm. Mhm.
So people like you that have these podcasts, getting this information out here, we're it.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. And
So
that's why it's individual at a time.
it
That's why it's
is.
individual at a time.
It's more personal that way. It's more personal. I mean, when they first started coming, I felt like I was the only one in the world they make you feel that special. You know, like I was the only one on the planet seeing them. They made me feel that way. So this is going to happen with individuals,
Right.
um, more and more and more, to until we get used to them being around, where they can come down here like they used to
Yeah.
25,000 years ago.
Now, if I
You
could
know,
remember my past life 25,000 years ago, I think I'd be happier at the moment. But not, I don't mean that in general. It's good.
me too. There was still wars in that, a few of
Mm,
those, as we can see with Atlantis and Lemuria. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, I mean, we could talk for hours, but
oh
I
yes,
know that your dog is restless as well.
yes, she is. Well, thank you. I would love to come back. This is absolutely amazing. You guys are doing such good work, and it is so nice to have other experiencers, as a sense of community, because we need that. We need
We
Yeah.
that.
do
And soon
a
we're
lot.
not going to be the oddballs. Soon we're
Yep.
not going to be the weird ones.
Yep. Be
Mhm.
leading in charge.
Yeah.
That that's the thing, and I've said that for a while. We've all said that for a while, that disclosure is going to come from the experiencers. It's not gonna come
Oh, it
from
is.
government. With
I always say
one
we are it. We are the disclosure.
That's right. With one brave person at a time. Going back to what I
Mhm.
said before, there's no shame in saying, "I've experienced something. Let me tell you my story." And then it's up to everybody
Yeah.
else whether they want to believe you or not. But it's personally liberating to be able to step away from that fear of talking about your experience and coming out and telling people, because it emboldens them to feel the
It does,
strength.
and I get so many beautiful messages of people who, are starting to experience and who have had experiences and saying, "You've given me the inspiration to post my own videos." That is just life changing for me.
Mm.
This is why they're having people like us come out here and give the information
Mm.
for this reason, so we could all come together. It's because we're all one, right, John?
That's right. We
Mhm.
are all one. As
Yeah.
much as we might frustrate each other, we are all
Mhm.
still one. And
Yeah.
so and it can be frustrating.
Yes.
So Sarah, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thank
Actually,
you.
I'm gonna predict that you did. Yes, and follow Sarah, UFO Girly, on YouTube. That's right, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. And please follow Cosmic Convergence, where we are now over 1,130 followers in a year. That's not too bad. We appreciate and love you all. And we hope to see you on the next episode of Cosmic Convergence. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bad monkey.
We're pioneering